Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Once again, as we come to you live out of Nezrek this afternoon, the fourth day of the ANC's 55th National Conference. The results are out, and we continue bringing you analysis. Now, someone who has been co-hosting and who's been extremely busy with us here at Salaamedia, and I'm quite glad because it's taken a lot off my shoulders. Anisa Mazimpaka. Anisa, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Thank you for having me.
Yes, no, I truly mean it. Actually, you've taken a lot, and obviously you've been a fresh voice, a wonderful voice, and a wonderful addition to the Salam Media team at this conference. So we appreciate you taking time out and being with us.
No, shukran for that. It's been an experience and a half, an experience I really appreciate, and it's been a pleasure working with the team.
Day 4 of the conference. This was the day we were waiting for.
Yes. So yeah, voting concluded in the early hours of the morning, we were told, and the day came that we were waiting for, and Cyril Ramaphosa was announced as president.
Did you expect it?
To be honest, the mood of this conference was quite tricky to read. Firstly, delegates were actually held back from their teams and said they should not address the media that much. And also there was mixed reactions from delegations. Also the last minute jumping ship from provinces. So it was quite tricky. Yeah.
Well, it certainly was, because I think, yesterday we heard you and you spoke about the provinces jumping ship, Gauteng, I think Limpopo as well. There was a bit of rumblings coming out of the Free State, and it could have gone either way.
Yeah.
And when we walked in this morning into the plenary, and the songs were already being sung and Ramaphosa. So I think at that point in time, I'm sure that many of the delegates knew, because they knew who they voted for.
Yeah, no, most definitely. It's unfortunate, it seems, because yesterday we saw the split of Gauteng, where the likes of Lebogang Maile came out and said, you know what, Zwandile Masina is actually withdrawing, throwing his weight behind Pule Mabe for TG. So that was a very last minute thing. But like you say, today it seems like delegates were up and ready to chant for Ramaphosa.
Yes. Now, yesterday I noticed you spoke to Namvula Mokinyane.
Yes.
And
yes.
did you, during your discussion, did you get an indication that she is going to land the job?
So Nomvula seemed like, from all the slates that were going around, it seemed like she was the constant. And this is because it was she was contesting Deputy Secretary General before there was the additional, we know that ANC opened up a second Deputy Secretary General. So even when Deputy Secretary General was being contested, we saw Phoebe Potgieter pull out. So she did get a sense, she was confident, but she also wasn't happy with what had happened on the floor, because it would seem that nominations were closed and then they were open again, and we saw her contender from the Northern Cape actually raise enough votes to second her. So she wasn't quite happy about that, but she seemed very confident.
Yes. Now, just looking at new blood in the top 7, because, obviously the president is there, Gwede Mantashe, Fikile, these are people, Nambula as well. They've been around for a long time, and were you surprised that we, didn't see even the likes of Ronald Lamola actually making it?
Not quite surprised with Ronald. His campaign didn't quite pick up. It's unfortunately because he would represent a youth voice. It's unfortunate that it would seem what had happened when he was contesting presidency is exactly what happened, but it doesn't mean that he does not have capacity. I think we've seen Ronald's activism, and even right now as a Minister of Justice. So I think it's more about who the ANC is familiar with, and also that thing of, I don't think the ANC has or is ready to accept youth in their top 7 positions. So, and that's very clear. We can't refer to Fikile Mbalula as a youth anymore. He was a youth active leader, but the honest truth is there's no youth representation in the top 7.
Exactly. And I think, look, initially it all started off with the top 6, and then it moved on to the top 7.
Yeah.
And we've got now 3 out of the 7
Yes.
being women.
Yes.
Was that a deliberate move, to include more women to get gender parity in the top 7?
Yeah, I'm actually glad because it means that there's change. I think the Women's League were also crying. Nomvula mentioned it. We had Pinky from the ANC Women's League, and she's a coordinator in the Greater Johannesburg region. And she emphasizes the issue of the 50-50 representation. So slowly but surely, there's 3 women in the top 7, and that's just great news.
Yes, I think what's going to be interesting to see how many are going to be represented at NEC level and also the young people.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's going to be very interesting. We have seen that the name of the current ANC Youth League convener has been raised, and there's a couple of other young people, but I think that space is also highly contested. So we're just going to have to wait and see. But very interesting because she was very vocal about who she supports in her personal capacity, and she threw her weight behind President Cyril Ramaphosa, whereas the Youth League had actually resolved to support Zweli Mkhize. So that's going to be very interesting to see how the voting is swayed on those lines.
Well, clearly it is, but now that the president has got a new lease of life for the next 5 years, and let's hope that it doesn't start off like it did in 2017, because that set the scene for what we saw right until 2022. It's been a difficult time for him. It's been a difficult time for the country, and also at the same time, the last few years he's been seen as somewhat of a lame duck president who didn't achieve much, who couldn't go up against those who opposed him. And again, the RET faction that we're talking about, and how strong is he going to be? Because the RET faction is still there. It's still a real threat.
Yeah, no, most definitely. What I'm particularly interested actually is Fikile Mbalula occupying the Secretary General post. He seems to be quite a favorite in the ANC. He seems to have actually found himself within the ranks of the ANC. We know that Fikile Mbalula usually heads the election campaigns. We've seen Fikile Mbalula come from the Youth League, Secretary General, President of the ANC Youth League, and also swell in the ranks of ministerial positions. So it'll be interesting to see Fikile Mbalula actually step away from governance and go into office full time. And let's see if he, as the Secretary General, will be able to unite this new NEC, and hopefully it will be more united than 2017.
What about Paul Woshatile as a deputy president? Because, we've seen with Didi Mabuza as well, where I think to a large extent he was somewhat relegated to a figurehead, as a deputy to the president. But just looking at Paul Washatile's role, I mean, we'd obviously like to see him feature a lot more prominently in that role of deputy president.
That would be quite interesting to watch. We spoke to Juanita Hunters from News 24 a few days ago, asking her the same question about Didi Mabuza. And she was very vocal into saying that Didi Mabuza was a last minute plan, basically. That's what she described it as, and said that he basically came, switched slates in the last hour. So hence, even his role of presidency was just a by the way. But also, Didi Mabuza, to be fair, he has been dealing with international politics. For example, the silence the guns in some parts of Africa, and. But coming to Paul Mashatile, it will be very interesting to watch. We know he has some credentials within, the Gauteng province itself. He was a premier in Gauteng. He's very active in Gauteng. So it'll be very interesting to watch how he performs as a deputy president.
Well, I must say it's been interesting having you as well and getting your analysis and all the interviews. And just how did you find this conference and being part of the team here at Salaamedia?
Oh no, it's been great. It's been great covering it from a media perspective. I'm usually on the other end, so it's been great to have an objective point of view. But also to see how things actually unfold. I think I have a newly founded respect for the ANC in terms of its organization, despite the hiccups that they have with time. I think being here on the ground and seeing that hall full of more than 4,000 people from across the country, you get to realize just how big the ANC is and how big a responsibility it has. And I guess we're just going to have to see if they will be able to take this renewal that they keep speaking about. Because as much as we're critical about the ANC, we also have to be honest and keep, there's a term that we used when we were in student politics. It's compliment and criticize. It's the CC approach. So as much as we can say this about the ANC, but we also have to be, very firm on saying that they can do better.
Well, I must say, you set the scene on day one when you spoke to Pulemabe and looking at small independent media houses like
Right.
us as well. And I just reinforced it the next day at the press conference.
Most
So
definitely.
that set the scene as well for us at
Yes.
Salaamedia.
Yes, and it would seem that he now knows the name Salaamedia, because I think Salaamedia has actually been doing quite a great job at covering this conference. From the interviews that you take in the morning sessions. And I think we had Malusi Gigaba. You had interviewed Malusi Gigaba, and he was quite, you had a robust engagement with him. So that was actually great. We had a lot of big figures come, a lot of analysts.
Exactly, not forgetting the lady Pandor yesterday.
Most definitely. And you even interviewed an international journalist.
Yes.
And that was quite interesting to see,
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I must say, it's been a tough few days, but it's been worth it. At the end of the day, when you sit back and reflect, it's really been worth our while being here, Anisa.
Most definitely. And now we see there's rains. It's rains of mercies for one faction, I guess.
Well, and possibly cheers for the other.
Most definitely.
Well, Anisa, Jazakallah, and from all of us here at Salaamedia as well, it's been wonderful having you as part and parcel of the team and the wonderful work. And I'm sure we will be looking at future engagements, inshallah.
Afwan, shukran so much.
Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum. Yes, we're still going to be coming live and looking at a number of other issues. Possibly things are somewhat quiet here, I must say. There's been a bit of a damper, not because of the rain, but just I think many media houses, many people right across the country have been waiting for the outcome of the election, the results, and that is what matters. I'm not too sure how much interest there is going to be in the outcome of the NEC and the formation of the NEC to take the African National Congress over the next 5 years, or to lead the country in over the next 5 years. But let's wait and see what happens. But for now, we are going to go for a break, and we'll bring you a lot more right here from